How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today I'm going to talk about spending on things versus spending on experiences versus spending on contentment. Now, this topic is really dear to me because I think about this almost every single day. How do you spend your money in order to get the most satisfaction out of it? If you look online on social media, you always see these inspirational pictures that shows you that you should spend more on experience rather than buy things. This seems to be more of a millennial thing where people aren't actually buying more things these days, and instead people are actually heavily spending on concerts, heavily spending on travel and stuff like that. The whole idea with this is that when you buy things, you get a huge rush on it in the beginning, but after a while it tapers off very quickly. Whereas on experiences, when you have it, you tend to think back on it and it's an experience so that you can relive it all the time, and so you would have a feeling of happiness much longer than if you bought a thing instead. A thing sometimes just clutter up your space and actually doesn't bring you much happiness at all. You know what I think about all this travel and all that? I think the travel industry actually made this up. Traveling is actually a pretty new concept. People used to travel because they want to move from one area to another in hopes for a better life. Nowadays, ever since we had these low price airfares, people can jet one place to another really quickly. And do you know how much fuel you're actually consuming when you go from one place to another on a 10-hour flight? Just one way actually takes 72 gallons of jet fuel. So when you have an aggregate of that, just flying the whole plane takes about 36,000 gallons. When you think of actually how much fuel you're using, is actually not very environmentally friendly to just keep on jetting every single place all the time every couple months. Another bad thing about it is usually maybe you take 1 week vacation, maybe 1.5 weeks, but then you usually go to a new destination, you get jet lag for 3 days, you spend maybe 4 to 7 days at that location, and then when you come back you get jet lag for another 3 days. I don't know about you, whenever I travel, I have to suffer 3 days when I'm there, 3 days I'm back. And then when I'm there, I'm really lethargic and really tired and groggy. And overall, it actually takes a lot of effort on my part. I'm actually exhausted after I come back from vacation. Another point that might actually self-feed your wanderlust is looking at all this social media. All these people take the same exact picture at Machu Picchu, right? Have you noticed this? Because everyone takes a selfie and in the background you see the whole Machu Picchu landscape over there. And the fact that everybody is going to the same exact spot to take the same exact picture comes off as a little strange to me. Maybe you want to go to that location, but then after seeing so many people just doing the same thing, it just kind of turned me off personally. So what's my whole point in this? Traveling, yes, it does make you happy, much longer than things actually do. But when you actually strive to get the happiness itself, it's kind of like a drug. You're like, oh, let me do this, I get a little happy. Oh, let me do that, I get a little happy. So you're just constantly trying to become happy by doing this experience, by doing that. Before you know it, your whole bank account is gonna go down to zero just from trying to do as much experience as you can. The question to ask is, when does it end? Are you just trying to be as happy as you can throughout your whole life and just never ending? Is that actually the goal, to be as happy as you want to be? Let me introduce this concept, which may or may not be brand new to you, which is contentment. Contentment is obtained by an achievement. When you have a big achievement, you kind of suffered a bit through it because you had to work hard. Maybe you don't have to sleep, maybe you're suffering a little bit. But once you're done with this thing that you worked on so hard on, this achievement exudes contentment, which exudes happiness. It's like a cornucopia of happiness potpourri. You have this thing that you obtain. No one can take this away from you because it's part of you, and it just exudes happiness. It's just never ending flowing. So what I propose is you're not really looking for happiness in itself. You're searching for meaning and purpose. And just by doing that, you'll get a lot more happiness from all the achievements, from the contentment that you get. And the happiness that exudes from all this, it's likely 10 times as much as if you just go somewhere to look at something that's man-made, that's been created there, and all your other friends have already been there already. It just seems like it's something that you pay, and if you have a little time, then you can go there as well. Everyone can do it. But if you do something that you really like and you really enjoy, it matters to you most, and that kind of happiness is really lasting. Let me finish by saying that a person can actually take a lot of pain if they know there's a purpose to it. However, even if it's just a tiny little pain, if they don't know the reason behind it, it will actually drive them crazy. Remember, achievements creates contentment, and actually it doesn't cost all that much money. Of course, when you achieve something that also helps other people, it makes it even that much better. Whatever you do, if you find an intersection between all of these things, you get really, really good contentment. The first piece of this, you gotta find something that you love to do. And then you can't just find anything that you really like to do, you also have to be really good at it as well. If you really like doing it, you'll eventually be really good at it, because if you just keep on doing it, you will be very good at it. It also needs to be something that the world would pay for. So if you're doing something that you're good at and you do it well, and if no one wants to pay for it, then you can't get paid and you can't continue doing it. And so you need to find some way to get paid for what you do well and what you love to do. Even if there's no actual way to get paid currently, you might be creative and create something in a situation where you can actually get paid to do what you really like to do and that you are well at it. The last thing that needs to intersect with all this is that the world actually needs something like this. When the world needs something that you're good at, that you love to do, and people would pay for it, well, when the world needs it, the world would pay for it. I realize this is not the actual intersection of all these circles, but I drew it a little bit wrong. Just bear with me here. This is the intersection of all these four things, okay? So that's contentment. So I hope this video finds the people that are just striving to get as much happiness as possible rather than buying things, because I think this whole concept of trying to get the most happiness is just a little misguided. Don't forget to give me a like on this video, comment down below. Let me know what you think of striving to get the most contentment rather than the most experience instead. If you're interested in supporting this channel, I have an Audible link down in the video description below where you can actually get a free audiobook. But this time, let me recommend an audiobook that I actually got on Audible, which is called Ready Player One. It's a science fiction book read by Will Wheaton, and it's basically a book written by an amateur, but it got really, really popular very quickly. The book mainly surrounds talking a lot about 80s arcade games and how one can be really good at it, and then there's this virtual world where when people go in it, they can actually play the games within the game. Now, the concept in itself is, yeah, alright. But then there are scenes inside the book where it's as epic as Ender's Game. If you ever read Ender's Game, the book, there was this one scene at the end where there's like a gigantic amount of aliens. Instead of attacking all the other ships, I think he did something like he just made all the other ships protect him, and basically they died off, and actually real people were in those ships. But that essentially allowed them to tunnel through and kill the mothership. So that scene, I'm probably not doing it good justice on describing it, but it's so epic on a grand scale. And Ready Player One has something just like that at the end of the book, which is something like, it's like epic, oh my gosh, that type of grand ending. So if you're interested in getting that book, you can get it through the Audible link down in the video description below. And if you cancel it, you can still keep the book and you don't have to pay a thing. And you can still help support this channel. Don't forget, I also have a Patreon over here, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.